So I want you to picture this. You are standing in the middle of this, like, incredibly cavernous foreign train station.
Oh, yeah.
The worst.
Your phone battery just completely died, and then this heavily distorted voice comes over the loudspeaker, echoing off all the concrete walls.
And you just know, if you don't catch it,
Exactly. If you do not understand the exact 3 words they just said, you are going to end up on a train heading, I don't know, 400 miles in the wrong direction.
it's the ultimate nightmare scenario, isn't it? I mean, the sheer panic of that specific moment.
It is entirely paralyzing. And, well, that is exactly what we are dissecting today. Welcome to today's deep dive.
Glad to be here.
We are taking this really massive stack of sources. We've got linguistic studies, travel protocols, psychological breakdowns of, communication under stress.
Right.
And we are mapping out a chronological, fully simulated journey through the absolute most high-stakes moments of international travel.
And I think we need to establish right up front, this is not about flipping through a dictionary.
No, definitely not. We are not going to sit here and list off 50 ways to describe the weather or, teach you how to ask where the library is if you have zero intention of ever going to the library.
Yeah, no fluff today. Our sources focus heavily on essential dialogue for transport and hotel check-ins, adapting the vocabulary for beginner-level speakers who need short, practical phrases.
Because clarity is everything when you need to communicate quickly in real situations.
Right. So we are focusing purely on that transactional survival communication, the stuff that dictates whether you thrive or whether you end up lost, overcharged, and just completely exhausted.
From the exact second you step out of the airport doors to the moment you check out of your hotel.
Because, and the sources go into this, there is a very specific physiological thing happening to your body in those moments, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you step off a plane after 14 hours, the air smells different, the humidity hits you,
Yeah, and the signage is in a language you maybe only partially recognize.
and your brain just short circuits. You know the words. You literally studied them on an app for 6 months.
Right. You got the little owl cheering for you.
Exactly. But in that specific moment, you freeze.
So why does that happen?
Well, it comes down to a concept in cognitive psychology known as cognitive load, combined with what linguists call the affective filter.
Okay, break that down for us.
So when you are traveling, your brain is experiencing this massive, unprecedented sensory overload. You are processing the noise of the airport, the new visual stimuli, the physical fatigue.
The time zone change?
Yes, the time zone change, the anxiety of locating your bags, maybe the fear of pickpockets. Your brain is a computer, and suddenly you have 100 heavy applications running simultaneously.
And the fan is just whirring, the battery's draining, the little cursor is just spinning and spinning.
That's exactly it. In your native environment, your brain is a master of parallel processing. The temporal lobe handles language effortlessly, while your visual cortex, navigates the street.
Right, you can walk, read a billboard, formulate a complex sentence, and interpret someone's sarcastic tone of voice all at the exact same time.
But under extreme cognitive load, that parallel processing fails catastrophically. The prefrontal cortex gets totally flooded with cortisol.
So when you walk up to a taxi driver and try to, translate a request in your head, the system just crashes.
Right. Stephen Krashen, he's a famous linguist, he talked a lot about the affective filter.
Affective filter.
Yeah. When stress and anxiety are high, this invisible filter goes up, and it literally blocks your access to the language you actually know.
Wow.
You default to one of 2 primal responses. Either silence, where you just nod and agree to whatever you're being told.
Which is dangerous.
Very. Or panic, where you revert to this sort of aggressive caveman speak, like, "We're back, go hotel now."
Which is completely counterproductive because it instantly makes the local person defensive.
Precisely. And that leads to a complete breakdown in the interaction.
So that is why we're focusing on these highly specific, heavily curated scenarios today.
Right, because if you have the exact ready-to-deploy phrases drilled into your motor memory, you completely bypass that prefrontal cortex translation process.
You do not have to think, you just react.
You conserve that precious cognitive bandwidth for just getting to where you need to go.
Okay, so we are going to trace the emotional and logical journey of a traveler.
Let's do it.
We start at the liminal space of the airport arrival and that high-anxiety negotiation of the taxi.
Essential stuff.
Then we transition into the social ritual of the hotel check-in, navigating those crucial first impressions and, the inevitable booking emergencies.
These things will go wrong.
Always. From there, we explore the psychology of room survival. how to assert control over your environment and fix problems.
Like asking for extra towels or dealing with a broken AC.
Exactly.
Right.
Then we are hitting the streets, diving into the cognitive science of spatial navigation and why locals give such incredibly confusing directions.
They really do.
And finally, the cognitive shift of checking out and racing the clock to head home.
It is the complete life cycle of a journey abroad.
But before we take that first step, I need to issue a quick warning to you about how we are going to do this.
Yes, the guided practice.
Right. This deep dive is heavily interactive. We are going to ask you to repeat certain phrases out loud. And I know what you were thinking. You are on a walk or on the train, and you do not want to look crazy talking to yourself.
But there is a vital neurobiological reason we need you to do it.
Tell them why.
Vocalization, actually moving your jaw, your tongue, and your vocal cords. It engages Broca's area in the brain. It builds the physical muscle memory required for fluency.
Right.
You cannot learn to play tennis just by listening to a show about tennis. You have to physically swing the racket.
So if you are on the train, maybe just whisper it. If you are in your car alone, yell it out.
And we are going to use different speeds today.
Yeah, that was a big focus in the sources, varying the speed and accents.
Because we want to simulate real conversations. We will start slow to establish the phonetic baseline, but then we are going to ramp it up.
We are going to simulate the fast, slurred, heavily accented speech of the real world.
It is linguistic stress testing. When you are in the moment, you don't think about drawing the sword, you just react instinctively based on your training.
All right, let's get into it. Ground zero arrival in the taxi.
Okay, set the scene.
Here's the context. The automatic doors of the terminal just slid open. The climate hits you. You are exhausted. You're dragging heavy luggage. You see this chaotic line of taxis, buses, and locals just rushing past.
It is incredibly overwhelming.
It really is. So where's the very first place we anchor ourselves?
We anchor ourselves with the ultimate psychological travel toolkit.
Okay.
Before we discuss destinations, maps, or money, we have to talk about the social buffer. The three most important, absolute, non-negotiable phrases you will ever utilize are, "Excuse me, please," and "Thank you."
Okay, I have to push back a little here.
Go for it.
I mean, we just talked about cognitive load and efficiency. Why are we spending energy on niceties? If I am exhausted, shouldn't the goal be the absolute shortest distance between 2 points? Like, just saying, taxi, City View Hotel, boom, done. Why dance around it?
It is a great question, but it fundamentally misunderstands how human beings process interruptions.
Okay, how so?
In pragmatics, which is the branch of linguistics that studies context,
Yeah.
there is a concept called face theory.
Face theory.
Yeah.
Huh?
Every person has a negative face, which is the desire to be unimpeded, to just
Yeah.
be left alone to do what they want. When you stop a stranger to ask a question, you are committing a face-threatening act. You are violating their autonomy.
So I am intruding on their world.
Exactly. If you just bark, "Where is taxi?" you are not only demanding information, you're doing so without acknowledging the intrusion.
Right.
Their immediate subconscious reaction is defensive. They might point vaguely, or they might just pretend they didn't hear you because you broke the unwritten social contract.
Because it feels like an order, not a request.
Right. But when you use the toolkit, you change the dynamic. The phrase, "excuse me," acts as a cognitive interrupt.
A cognitive interrupt.
It prepares the listener's brain. It says, "I acknowledge I am interrupting your trajectory, and I'm asking for your grace."
It is a gentle knock on the door instead of just kicking the door down.
Precisely. And the "could you" softens the request, framing it as a favor rather than a demand. The "please" is the final structural reinforcement.
So instead of "where's taxi?" you say, "Excuse me, could you tell me where the taxi stand is, please?"
Yes. It completely disarms them.
I have actually noticed this firsthand. If you approach someone with that level of polite deference, they will often bend over backwards to help you. They stop, they turn their whole body toward you, they engage.
So let's do our first practice. Try saying it out loud right now, wherever you are. Just feel the rhythm of, "Excuse me."
Excuse me.
Notice the soft sound. It is a very soothing phonetic combination.
Okay, so we've socially buffered our way to the taxi stand. Now we have to state the destination.
Right.
Our sources emphasize highly functional short phrases for this exact moment, especially for beginners. You just say, "I want to go to the City View Hotel." Or, utilizing our polite toolkit, "Could you take me to the City View Hotel, please?"
"Could you take me to" is the absolute gold standard. It frames the transaction as a collaboration. You are inviting them to participate in your journey.
But wait, let's talk about the modern reality of travel for a second.
Okay.
Why am I even standing at a taxi rank? I have my phone, I have ride-sharing apps, I use Uber, Grab, Lyft, whatever the local equivalent is.
Sure.
I just type in Grand Woodward Hotel. The app handles the GPS, it handles the credit card, and I don't have to utter a single syllable to the driver. Why are we even drilling verbal taxi negotiations?
Because it is the ultimate illusion of modern control.
Illusion.
Yes. In a frictionless world, apps are magnificent. But the real world, especially the travel world, is characterized by friction. Apps fail.
That's true.
Your phone battery is at 3% after playing games on a 12-hour flight. Or you step outside the terminal and the airport's free Wi-Fi instantly drops and your international roaming hasn't activated yet.
Oh man, I have absolutely been there. You are standing on the curb holding a dead piece of glass.
And beyond the technology failing, there is a logistical reality many tourists ignore. Many major international airports legally prohibit ride-sharing apps from operating at the arrivals curb.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they do this to protect the local unionized taxi cartels. So you open your app and a message pops up saying, service unavailable in this area.
And suddenly you are entirely dependent on the analog world. You are staring at a line of yellow cabs or black cabs or tuk-tuks.
If you rely 100% on a digital screen, you render yourself completely vulnerable the moment that screen goes dark. You absolutely must possess the verbal architecture to negotiate with a human being.
Vulnerable is exactly the word. And that vulnerability peaks during the single most stressful part of the taxi experience of fair negotiation.
Oh, without a doubt.
I think nothing causes more universal anxiety for travelers than the feeling that they are about to be ripped off.
It is a potent cocktail of stressors. You are doing mental currency conversion, which is math. You are trying to speak a foreign language. And you are dealing with the inherent power imbalance of being in a stranger's vehicle in a city you don't know.
So how do we take control of this dynamic before we even close the car door? What is the strategy?
You establish the economic rules of engagement immediately. You do not get in the car and hope for the best. You lean into the window and you ask, is this a flat rate?
Let's define that, because it's a specific piece of vocabulary. A flat rate meaning a fixed, predetermined price, regardless of how long the trip takes or how bad the traffic is.
Correct. Airports often have designated flat rates to the city center. Is this a flat rate? If they say no, then you must establish the alternative. Are you using the meter?
And you visually confirm they actually turn it on.
Exactly. And the most direct, highly functional question to ask if there is no meter and no flat rate is, may I know how much it will cost? Or simply, how much is it to the Grand Woodward Hotel?
Now, here is where the rubber meets the road, so to speak. Because taxi drivers, bless them, they are working a grueling job. They are navigating traffic, listening to a dispatcher, watching pedestrians.
Right.
They are not language teachers. They do not speak in slow, perfectly enunciated textbook English. They speak in rapid, localized shorthand.
They exhibit what linguists call elision and assimilation. They swallow syllables, they blend words together, and they use highly localized slang. They are the ultimate real-world test of your auditory processing.
I remember landing in London once, completely exhausted. I get in the cab, and the driver hits me with a wall of sound. He mumbled something about a detour, and my brain just flatlined.
What did you do?
I just nodded and said, yes, fine. And the ride ended up costing me twice what I budgeted. What should I have done in that exact fraction of a second to stop the bleeding?
The nod of passive agreement is the trap. You did it because your cognitive load was maxed out. You need an emergency parachute phrase.
A parachute phrase. Okay, what is it?
When the auditory input is too dense, too fast, or too heavily accented, you use this precise phrase. Could you say that again more slowly, please?
Could you say that again more slowly, please? That is brilliant, because it is not an admission of stupidity. It is a request for clarity.
It shifts the responsibility of communication back onto the speaker. It signals, I am engaged, I am listening, but you are operating at a frequency I cannot parse. Bring it down.
Let's do some mental training right now. I want to do a simulation.
Me too.
I am going to play that fast-talking, slightly gruff taxi driver. I am going to throw a wall of localized slang at you, and your job as the listener is not to understand me. Your job is to deploy the parachute.
Okay, imagine you are in the back seat. You just asked to go to the City View Hotel. The driver looks in the rearview mirror and says this.
Listen, mate, the motorway is absolutely jammed up. Right now, we're going to have to take the side streets. That'll add a good 10, 15 minutes to the run. Fare might bump up a bit on the meter, yeah?
Stop. The cognitive load just spiked. He used motorway instead of highway. He used jammed instead of traffic, bump up instead of increase.
It's too much.
Do not try to translate it. Just deploy the phrase. Say it out loud right now. Could you say that again more slowly, please?
And it completely resets the interaction. The driver realizes you aren't a local, and they will naturally enunciate. Traffic. Bad. We take long way, cost more.
And suddenly, you are back in control. You can decide if you want to accept that or find another cab. You survived ground zero.
You negotiated the fare, you survived the detour, and the taxi pulls up to the curb. Which brings us to the next psychological transition of the journey, the hotel check-in.
This is a fascinating spatial and cognitive shift. You're moving from the unpredictable, high-friction chaos of the street into the highly controlled, specifically engineered sanctuary of the hotel lobby.
Yeah, the temperature's perfect, there's usually some ambient jazz playing, it smells like lavender. It is designed to lower your cortisol.
And the interaction at the front desk reflects that transition. The hotel check-in is what sociologists call a highly rigid schema.
A schema.
A schema is a predictable cognitive script. Both parties know their roles perfectly.
I always think of it like a password exchange in a Cold War spy movie. You walk up, you give the coded phrase, they give the coded response. If you know the password exchange, it's incredibly smooth.
That is an excellent analogy. The human brain craves schema because it requires almost zero processing power. The opening password from you is always establishing your identity and your right to be there.
Hello, I have a reservation under the name Smith.
That is the golden key. I have a reservation under Smith, or I'd like to check in, please.
Instantly, the receptionist schema activates. They will dive into their computer system and begin the verification loop. In the source protocols we reviewed from the hospitality industry, a well-trained receptionist will always verify the parameters of the stay to prevent catastrophic misunderstandings later. Right. They will read the dates back to you. Checking in on September 5th, checking out on September 7th, and your job is just to listen for those two specific data points and confirm.
They will also verify the spatial parameters. We have a standard room with a queen-size bed, or a deluxe room with a king-size bed and a city view. You need a basic grasp of this vocabulary.
Like knowing that a twin room doesn't mean a bed for twins.
Right. It means two separate single beds.
And we cannot forget the word complimentary.
A vital piece of vocabulary. The hospitality industry hates the word free. It sounds cheap, so they use complimentary. You have access to the complimentary breakfast buffet.
Now, in the sources we reviewed, they spent a lot of time emphasizing the need to spell your last name. Could you spell that for me? And they run through the alphabet. I mean, do we really need to practice the ABCs? We are adults.
It sounds totally reductive, I know, but there is deep linguistic reasoning behind it. When you are dealing with international travel, you are crossing phonological boundaries.
What does that mean in practice?
Well, the way a Spanish speaker pronounces the letter I sounds exactly like the way an English speaker pronounces the letter E.
Oh, right.
If your name is Martinez and you pronounce the I as an E sound to an English receptionist, they're going to type M-A-R-T-E, and suddenly your reservation ceases to exist in their database.
Oh, wow. I never considered that. It's not about not knowing the alphabet. It's about the phonetic mapping of your native language clashing with the host language.
Exactly. Spelling your name clearly using standard English phonetics is the only way to bridge that gap. Let's practice. Spell your last name out loud right now. Nice and slow.
H-A-N-I-G-H-A-M. Good practice.
Okay, so the name is verified, the dates are locked. Now comes the part of the schema that reliably triggers anxiety for travelers, the financial guarantee.
Oh, yes.
You hand over your passport, and the receptionist says, "I'll need a credit card, please."
And the immediate internal reaction is defensive. Wait, I prepaid this online 3 months ago. Why are you charging me again? Is this a scam? It is a totally natural reaction if you don't understand the underlying mechanics of the hospitality industry. How do we decode this for the listener?
You have to listen for specific structural vocabulary. They are not charging you for the room. They will use the words guarantee, deposit, or hold.
Hold.
Yeah, I need a credit card number to hold the room.
Yeah.
Or we're just taking a temporary authorization to guarantee the reservation.
They're basically building a financial safety net in case you decide to throw a television out the window or empty the minibar of all its $14 bottles of water.
Precisely. It is an authorization, a freeze on a specific amount of funds, which simply evaporates a few days after you check out.
Yeah.
If you understand the mechanics of the hold, the anxiety vanishes. You just hand over the card.
But let's talk about when the schema shatters.
The emergencies.
Because when the predictable script breaks, That is when the real panic sets in. You do everything right. You give the password, "I have a reservation under Smith," and the receptionist stares at the screen. They hit the backspace key. They furrow their brow.
I'm getting stressed just hearing it.
And they deliver the most terrifying sentence in the English language. "I'm sorry, I cannot find your reservation."
Your cortisol levels just went through the roof.
Or worse, "I'm sorry, but we are completely overbooked. We don't have any rooms available."
What is the psychological strategy here? Because my instinct is either to start crying or to start shouting about how I flew 14 hours.
Both of those instincts are driven by the amygdala, the emotional center of the brain. You have to bypass the amygdala and engage the prefrontal cortex.
Easier said than done.
True, but you cannot escalate with emotion because the receptionist did not cancel your booking maliciously. They're just reading a screen. You have to de-escalate the emotion and escalate the data.
Escalate the data. I love that. How do we do it?
You anchor the conversation to objective reality. You do not argue with their computer. You present your proof. The single most powerful phrase you have in this scenario is, "My confirmation number is XYZ456. The confirmation number is the absolute truth. The name might be corrupted by a weird phonetic spelling, the dates might have glitched, but the alphanumeric code is undeniable proof of a contract."
Exactly. It removes the human error from the equation. Then you provide the context of the transaction to help them diagnose the system failure. I booked online through Expedia, or I booked directly on your website last Tuesday.
You are giving them the breadcrumbs to solve the mystery.
And finally, you issue a directive that is firm but utilizes our polite toolkit. You do not say, "Look harder." You say, "Could you check again, please?"
Could you check again, please? It is a brilliant psychological maneuver. It is polite, but it fundamentally rejects their initial conclusion. It says, "I am not accepting your reality. I am asking you to dig deeper into the database."
Imagine standing at that desk. The receptionist just told you there is no room. Take a breath, bypass the panic, and deploy the data. Say it with me. "My confirmation number is 789. Could you check again, please?"
And it works. 9 times out of 10, they find the booking under a reversed first and last name. Or they realize the third-party booking site failed to send the API ping, and they magically find a room for you. Crisis averted.
They hand you the key card, which is
Yeah.
a physical manifestation of relief.
And you head up to the elevator. Which brings us to the next phase of our journey, room survival.
Yes.
You walk down the long carpeted hallway, you scan your card, the door clicks open, you drop your bags. This room is supposed to be your sanctuary. It is your private, controlled environment in a chaotic foreign city.
But inevitably, you realize you need something. Or worse, you realize the environment is hostile.
Right, and the transition here is moving from face-to-face interaction at the desk to telephonic communication. When you pick up that room phone, you lose all visual cues.
That's a huge point. You can't rely on a smile, hand gestures, or body language. Your entire intent has to be carried by grammar and tone.
And this is where we have to dive into a subtle but incredibly powerful piece of linguistics. The difference between can I and could I. I hear tourists use can I all the time. Can I get a towel? Can I get a menu? It gets the job done, doesn't it?
It communicates the core desire, yes, but it creates unnecessary social friction.
How?
Let's look at the linguistics. Can I technically operates in the realm of epistemic modality. It questions ability or possibility. Literally, do I possess the physical capacity to get a towel? Now, native speakers use it colloquially for requests, but in a service environment, it lands as blunt, transactional, and slightly demanding.
It lacks grace. It sounds like you are ordering a machine to dispense an item.
Precisely. Could I, on the other hand, operates in deontic modality. It's the language of polite permission. It is softer. It creates a collaborative space. When you call down to reception and say, "Could I get some extra towels, please?" you are acknowledging their agency. You are asking for a favor, not issuing a command.
It is the difference between shining a harsh spotlight in someone's face versus lighting a warm candle. Both illuminate the room, but one makes people want to stay and help you.
I really like that metaphor. So we build short, highly functional requests using this structure. Let's do some essential requests. Say you need to be awake at 5 a.m. for a train. You dial 0. Could I get a wake-up call at 5 a.m., please?
Or you are starving, but you refuse to put your shoes back on. I'd like to order room service. And the kitchen says, "What can I get you?" You reply, "Could I get the club sandwich, please?"
It is efficient, it is clear, and it elevates you from a demanding tourist to a respected guest.
But what if you aren't asking for a sandwich? What if the room itself is a disaster?
The room issues.
You walk in and it smells like stale cigarette smoke, or the air conditioner sounds like a jet engine, Or you look out the window and realize your quote-unquote city view is a view of a neon sign flashing directly into your retinas.
You cannot suffer in silence. You are paying for a controlled environment. But again, the amygdala wants to take over. When we are tired, minor inconveniences feel like massive personal insults.
Totally. The instinct is to call down and say, this room is terrible, I can't sleep, this is unacceptable.
Which puts the staff immediately on the defensive. I mean, they didn't build the neon sign.
Right. So the strategy for handling room issues is to use entirely objective language. You strip the emotion out of the sentence, you state the physical reality of the problem, and you attach a clear, actionable request.
Exactly. So instead of, I can't sleep because of the highway, what is the objective phrase?
The room is too noisy. It is an objective statement of fact. And the actionable request, I'd like to change my room, please.
Let's practice that. The room is too noisy. I'd like to change my room. It is so clean. There's nothing for them to argue with. You aren't blaming them. You are just identifying an incompatibility.
What if a mechanical system fails? The room is 85 degrees and the thermostat is dead.
The air conditioner isn't working. Objective fact. Could someone fix it, please? Actionable request using our polite toolkit.
It is engineering your communication for maximum efficiency and minimum friction.
Now, we have to talk about the ultimate room survival scenario.
Oh, no.
The one that strips away all your dignity. The walk of shame.
Ah, yes. The locked door.
It happens to everyone.
You step out of your room into the hallway. Maybe you are just going to the ice machine. Maybe you thought your partner had the key. And then the heavy, fireproof door clicks shut behind you.
The worst sound in the world.
You reach into your pocket, empty. You are standing in a public hallway, possibly in your socks, completely locked out of your sanctuary.
The vulnerability is immense. You have to ride the elevator down to the lobby, past fully dressed people, and approach the desk. The psychological barrier to speaking is very high because you just feel foolish.
So what is the linguistic strategy to reclaim your dignity?
You lean into the vulnerability, you don't make excuses, you state the fact plainly, I locked myself out of my room. Or, if you were out in the city and dropped it down a storm drain, I've lost my room key.
The beauty of this is realizing that to the hotel staff, this isn't a crisis. This is Tuesday.
Right.
They deal with this constantly. You say, I locked myself out. They will smile, ask for your ID or verify your personal details, encode a new piece of plastic, and send you on your way.
Let's do a mental exercise to solidify these room survival phrases. A quick simulation drill.
I love it.
Imagine you are in the room. I want you, the listener, to picture the scenario, and I want you to instinctively formulate the objective fact and the polite request.
Okay, scenario one. You take a shower, you reach for the rack, and it's completely empty. The housekeeping staff forgot to restock. You are shivering. What is the instinct?
3 seconds. The instinct is, could I get some extra towels, please?
Yes. Okay, scenario two. It is midnight. The room next door is apparently hosting a techno dance party. The walls are vibrating. You pick up the phone. What do you say?
Think about the objective fact. The room is too noisy. Actionable request. I'd like to change my room, please.
Perfect. You are asserting control over your environment without burning down the social bridge. It is masterful, and with a good night's sleep, you are ready for the most complex cognitive challenge of the entire trip.
Hitting the streets.
We are transitioning from the engineered safety of the hotel into the chaotic, organic, unpredictable environment of the foreign city. You step out the front doors, eager to explore. You want to find a specific museum or that little cafe you read about.
But the GPS on your phone is acting erratically, bouncing you around the map because of the tall buildings.
The street signs don't match your guidebook. The sun is in the wrong place. You have lost your spatial orientation. You are completely, hopelessly lost.
Spatial disorientation triggers a very specific kind of anxiety. Evolutionarily, being lost meant you were separated from the tribe and vulnerable to predators.
Wow.
Our brains do not like it. So we have to overcome the pride that stops us from asking for help.
So we return to the art of asking. We deploy the vulnerability. Excuse me, I'm lost?
Excuse me, I'm lost. It is a profound disarmer. When you admit vulnerability, you trigger the reciprocal altruism in a stranger. Locals are generally incredibly protective of tourists who admit they need help. It flatters their knowledge of their own city.
But then you follow up with the target. Could you tell me how to get to the train station? Or what's the easiest way to get to the museum?
Now, here is where the reality of language acquisition hits a brick wall.
The answers.
Right. Formulating the question is relatively easy. You practiced it, you control the pace. But the moment the local opens their mouth to answer, you lose all control. The hardest part of asking for directions is comprehending the answer.
It is so true. A local does not speak like a Google Maps algorithm. They do not say, proceed north for 400 meters, then execute a 90-degree turn east.
No, because human spatial cognition does not work on an allocentric, grid-based coordinate system. We navigate egocentrically, using mental representations of landmarks. We build a cognitive map based on salience, what stands out.
So a local will say, okay, you see that weird-looking fountain? Go past that, take a right where the old cinema used to be. It's a shoe store now, and it's right behind the big church.
It is a flood of hyperlocal data spoken at a rapid conversational speed. If you try to translate every word, your cognitive load will max out in 3 seconds and you will just nod and walk away, still completely lost.
So what is the strategy? How do we parse this flood of data?
You have to filter the audio stream for specific verbs of movement and prepositions of place. You ignore the history of the shoe store. You listen for the anchors.
Let's define those anchors. The verbs of movement, go straight, means maintain your current vector. Turn left or turn right, which is usually attached to a node like a traffic light or an intersection.
A crucial one is go past. This means a landmark will appear in your visual field, but it is a false destination. You must continue beyond it. Go past the hospital.
And cross the street, meaning alter your trajectory to the opposite sidewalk.
And then the prepositions of place. How the destination relates to the final landmark. Next to, meaning adjacent. Behind, meaning obscured from the main street. And opposite, which trips people up.
How so?
If they say the station is opposite the supermarket, it means they're facing each other, separated by the road.
No, I have to bring up ordinal numbers because locals love these, and they are lethal if you mishear them. Take the first left, then the second right.
Lethal's right. If you mishear second right as first right, you are no longer heading to the art museum, you are walking into a residential cul-de-sac.
So we have the vocabulary, but how do we ensure we actually captured the right data from the rapid-fire local? What is the fail-safe?
The fail-safe is the most important active listening technique you will ever learn. The confirmation loop.
The confirmation loop.
You never, ever just say thank you and walk away. You must parrot the directional bullet points back to the speaker to force them to verify your mental map.
I love this. Let's demonstrate it. I'm going to play the fast-talking, highly caffeinated local. You ask me where the train station is?
Okay, here we go. Excuse me, I'm lost. Could you tell me how to get to the train station?
Oh, yeah, mate. This station, it's super close. Look, just go straight down the street here for about 5 minutes. Ignore the first light. Turn left at the second light. You'll see this massive supermarket on your right. The station is right opposite the supermarket. You literally can't miss it.
Okay, my brain is filtering. I drop the 5 minutes. I drop the can't miss it. I construct the loop. So straight to the second light, turn left, go past the supermarket, and it's opposite.
Yeah, exactly. Right across the street.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Do you see the architecture of that interaction? I distilled a paragraph of chaotic slang into 4 actionable bullet points, and I forced the local to say yes.
It is a diagnostic test of your own comprehension. If you had said, turn left at the first light, the local would have immediately interrupted you. No, second light. It corrects the error before you walk a mile in the wrong direction.
It is an incredibly empowering technique. Let's all try it. Just say the loop. So, straight to the second light, turn left.
Straight to the second light, turn left. But walking is only half the battle. Eventually, the distances become too great, and you have to descend into the belly of the beast. You have to navigate the public transit system.
And if getting lost on foot costs you 30 minutes of walking, getting on the wrong train can cost you half a day, significant amounts of money, and potentially cause you to miss a flight. The stakes are much, much higher.
We looked at a fascinating simulation in our sources mapping out the London Underground and the Paris Metro. The visual complexity is staggering. Colored lines intersecting, concentric zones. But the visual map isn't actually the hardest part. The hardest part is the audio environment of the station itself.
Oh, absolutely. Let's talk about the acoustic hostility of train stations. Acoustic engineers measure something called reverberation time and the signal-to-noise ratio.
What does that mean for a traveler?
Well, train stations are massive concrete tubes filled with screeching metal wheels, echoing footsteps, and thousands of conversations. The signal-to-noise ratio is terrible.
It is basically a torture chamber for second language processing.
Exactly. When a native speaker hears a distorted announcement in a train station, their brain uses top-down processing to fill in the missing acoustic gaps based on context.
Right?
But a non-native speaker doesn't have that deep contextual well to draw from. So when the distorted loudspeaker crackles to life, it just sounds like noise.
So how do we survive the station?
We rely on verification phrases. You might read a sign that says Platform 4, but you need verbal confirmation from a human being before you step onto that train. You find a guard or a conductor and you ask, which platform does the train leave from?
Or to be hyper-specific, which platform for the airport?
Yes. And when the train arrives, you double-check the route. Does this train go to the city center, or does this bus stop at the library?
But going back to that acoustic hostility, what happens when the environment changes the rules? You verified Platform 4. You were standing there, and then the loudspeaker chimes, "Kutst! Attention passengers! The express service to the airport has undergone a platform change. It will now depart from Platform 9. Kutst!"
If you are just passively waiting, and your brain has tuned out the noise of the station, you will miss it. You will watch your train leave from across the station. You have to train your ear to actively scan the environmental noise for specific trigger words.
Words like change, delayed, canceled, platform. You don't need to understand the entire sentence. You just need to catch the anomaly that signals your schema is broken.
If you hear the word change, you immediately turn to the person next to you and use our parachute phrase from the taxi. Excuse me, could you tell me what they just said?
You leverage the native speaker's top-down processing to decode the announcement for you. That is a brilliant hack.
And with that, you board the correct train. You navigate the city. You see the sights. And suddenly your trip is coming to an end. We enter the final phase, checking out and heading home.
The psychological shift here is profound. The thrill of exploration is replaced by the logistical anxiety of extraction.
Extraction, right.
You have to pack your bags, settle your debts, and physically transport yourself to the airport before a giant metal tube flies away without you. The clock is ticking loudly.
The checkout process at the hotel is generally less complex than the check-in because the schema is reversing. You are closing the loop, you walk up to the desk and initiate, "I would like to check out," or they will prompt you, "May I have your room key, please?"
Now, here's a great opportunity to use that polite deontic modality we discussed earlier. If your flight isn't until 8 p.m., you do not want to drag your suitcase around the city all day. You ask for a favor. Could I have a late checkout, if possible?
If possible is a wonderful linguistic cushion. It acknowledges that they might not be able to accommodate you, which paradoxically makes them want to try harder to do so.
But the core of the checkout schema is settling the financial ledger. You guaranteed the room with your card days ago, but now they are tallying up the collateral damage.
Did you utilize the complimentary breakfast? Or did you order the non-complimentary room service? Did you open the minibar? In the protocols we analyzed, the receptionist will ask, would you be able to settle the minibar bill?
And this is where you must demand a visual record. Even if you completely trust the hotel, mistakes happen. They might have charged you for the previous guest's macadamia nuts. You use the phrase, "Could I have an itemized receipt, please?"
Itemized is the key word. It means every single charge is broken down line by line, rather than just a lump sum. You review it, verify the math, and sign.
The ledger is clean. But now we face the final transport hurdle. This is the climax of the cognitive load. Because now, time is a rapidly diminishing resource. You have to get to the airport, and you are dealing with rigid numerical deadlines.
Processing numbers in a second language is notoriously difficult under stress because numbers don't have contextual clues. 50 and 50 sound incredibly similar, but one means you make your flight, and the other means you sleep in the terminal.
So you approach the concierge. You need actionable data. You ask, what is the quickest way to get to the airport? Not the cheapest, the quickest. Or, if you are relying on the hotel's infrastructure, will the shuttle get me to the airport on time?
Let's run a final simulation to test this numerical processing. You ask about the shuttle. I am the concierge. You need to listen for the two distinct data points, the departure window and the transit duration. Ready?
Ready. Okay, I need to make a flight that boards in exactly 45 minutes.
The next shuttle leaves in 15 minutes, sir, and depending on traffic, it takes about 25 minutes to get to the terminal.
Okay, my brain is doing the math frantically. Leaves in 15. That gives me exactly 15 minutes to use the restroom, grab my bags, and get to the curb. Takes 25. 15 plus 25 is 40 minutes. My flight boards in 45.
It is a razor-thin margin. If there is an accident on the motorway, you miss the flight.
So because I process the numbers accurately, I can make an executive decision. I change the plan. Actually, could you call me a taxi right now instead?
You took control of the timeline. You didn't just passively accept the schedule. That is the definition of functional communication under pressure.
Wow, we did it. Take a deep breath. Let's pull back and look at the sheer distance we have covered today.
It is a massive cognitive journey.
We started by analyzing the neuroscience of cognitive load and the effective filter. You learned how to bypass panic by deploying the polite social buffer, excuse me, could you, to hack the face-saving instincts of strangers.
You mastered the high-stakes economic negotiation of the taxi and learned the emergency parachute phrase to slow down rapid-fire slang.
You decoded the rigid schema of the hotel check-in. You learned how to bypass emotional escalation when your reservation disappears by anchoring your argument to objective data, the confirmation number.
You explored the linguistics of polite permission, trading can I for could I, to control your room environment and request repair without creating defensive friction.
You dove into the psychology of spatial navigation, learning to filter local landmarks and execute the confirmation loop to verify directions. You survived the acoustically hostile train stations. And finally, you managed the complex numerical math of checking out and racing the clock to the airport.
You have constructed a formidable, highly engineered architecture of survival phrases.
But as we wind down, I think it is crucial to recenter on the ultimate philosophy of this entire exercise. We have been drilling these phrases, perfecting the syntax, analyzing the phonetics. But perfection is a dangerous illusion.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
The goal of language in these high-friction moments is not grammatical perfection. You are not writing a thesis, and the taxi driver is not greeting your conjugation. The goal is functional communication.
Exactly. If you scramble the word order, if you use the wrong tense but you smile, you make eye contact, and you say please, you will succeed 99% of the time. The locals just want clarity and respect.
That is the core truth. The linguistic mechanics are just the vehicle for the human intention.
Which leads me to a final thought I want to leave you with. Something to chew on long after you take your headphones off.
Let's hear it.
We have spent this entire hour treating language as a tool. A wrench you use to fix a broken air conditioner, a map you use to find a train, a shield you use against a taxi fare hike. And it is all of those things. But at a deeper level, attempting to speak a foreign language in a stressful environment is a profound exercise in empathy.
How so?
Think about the power dynamics. When you travel, you are a guest in someone else's reality. When you refuse to adapt, when you just shout in your native tongue and expect them to accommodate you, the relationship is entirely transactional. It is a subtle form of imperialism. You are the demanding tourist, they are the service provider.
It creates an invisible wall between you.
But the moment you try, even if you butcher the pronunciation, even if you just awkwardly string together, and a destination, you shatter that wall. You humble yourself. You signal to that receptionist or that driver or that stranger on the street, I respect your culture enough to try and play by your rules.
You shift the dynamic from a transaction to a collaboration.
Exactly. You invite them to help you build a bridge over those communicative muddy waters. It is a moment of shared humanity. And my question for you is this. If humbling yourself and politely asking for collaboration can so radically transform a stressful encounter with a stranger in a foreign city, how might that exact same shift in perspective change how you navigate conflicts in your own native language, in your own daily life, right back at home?
That is a phenomenal question. The tools of empathy are universal.
Because whether you are trying to decode a distorted train announcement in Paris or just trying to truly understand your partner at the dinner table after a long day, we are all just trying to lower the cognitive load for each other. Thank you for diving deep with us today.